Welcome back to Faith Focus Network, where we delve into the depths of our Catholic faith, uncovering the richness and beauty that lies within. I'm Daniela Bezant, and today we have a truly fascinating episode for you. We're going to explore the history, significance, and folklore of church bells, both in the bell towers of our magnificent churches and those used during the consecration of the Eucharist. Before we dive in, I want to share something personal. As the bell ringer of Canada's first parish, St. Louis Church in Annapolis Royal, Nova Scotia, I feel a profound connection to this topic. Every time I ring our church bell, I pray that its sound drives out negativity from our town and awakens a spark of the Holy Spirit in those who hear it, bringing them back to church. And ever since I've started doing that, our numbers have steadily grown. Let's begin this journey by looking at when and how the use of church bells came into practice. The use of church bells in Christianity dates back to the early centuries of the church. Bells were first used in the Eastern Orthodox Church, with one of the earliest records being from the 5th century. However, it wasn't until the 7th century that the use of bells became more widespread in the Western Church. It was Pope Sabinian who was credited with promoting the use of bells to call the faithful to worship. But bells were not just functional. They held a deep spiritual significance. The ringing of bells was believed to have the power to ward off evil spirits and protect the faithful. This belief was rooted in folklore and was supported by various church teachings. Saint Bede, of English Benedictine monk, wrote about the power of bells to drive away storms and evil spirits. The sound of the church bell became a symbol of God's voice calling out to his people. In the medieval period, the casting and consecration of bells were elaborate ceremonies. Bells were often inscribed with Latin phrases such as "Vivos voco mortuus plango fulgura frango," meaning, "I call the living, I mourn the dead, I break the lightning." They were blessed, and some bells, most actually, were even given names. As churches became central to communities, the construction of bell towers became a significant architectural feature. Major church bells became part of the building of churches, symbolizing the presence of God and the call to worship. The largest bells, known as great bells, were often named after saints and consecrated with holy water and incense. The folklore around church bells is rich and varied. In some cultures, it was believed that the sound of the bell could drive away evil spirits from the town. In other stories, bells were said to have miraculous powers. One famous legend from the town of Aachen, Germany, tells of a bell that rang by itself to warn the town of an approaching enemy. The practice of ringing a bell during the consecration of the Eucharist began in the 13th century. The purpose was to alert the faithful to the most sacred moment of the Mass, the transformation of the bread and wine into the body and blood of Christ. This tradition continues today, emphasizing the profound mystery of the Eucharist. Catholics believe that the sound of bells carries a special power. They're not just tools for communication, but instruments of divine intervention. The Catechism of the Catholic Church highlights the sacramental nature of bells, noting their role in sanctifying time and space. Now, let me share a little bit about my own experience as the bell ringer of St. Louis Church. It's a role I cherish deeply, and every time I pull that rope and hear the resonant sound fill the air, I feel a connection to the countless generations of Catholics who've come before me. I pray before I ring the bell, asking that it drive out negativity from our town and ignite a spark of the Holy Spirit in those who hear it. There's something profoundly spiritual about the act of ringing the bell. It's a call to prayer, a reminder of God's presence, and a beacon of hope. And we're not the only culture to utilize this. Buddhists also work with sound quite a bit with their bells, and they even have singing bowls. So sound is powerful across cultures and religions, but especially sacred for us Catholics. I pray that the sound of the bell brings peace and healing to those who hear it, and I hope that it draws them closer to God. Throughout history, there have been many famous bell ringers who have dedicated their lives to this sacred duty. One such figure is Quasimodo, the hunchback bell ringer of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Victor Hugo's novel. While it's a fictional character, Quasimodo represents the devotion and love that many bell ringers have to their craft. When people mention to me that I'm the bell ringer of the church, I tell them that I feel like the hunchback of Notre Dame. In real life, there are countless stories of bell ringers who've gone above and beyond in their service to the church. Their dedication ensures that the bells continue to ring, calling the faithful to worship and reminding us of the enduring power of faith. The bell ringer of the local Baptist church happens to be my next door neighbor. So how, serendipitous that two houses side by side, both are occupied by local bell ringers of the town. So mine is obviously the Catholic Church and he's Baptist. Now he's been the bell ringer of the Baptist church for 40 years. And that church has only been around 150 years, unlike the local Catholic Church that's been there since the 1600s. It hosted its first baptism in 1610. So it's been around a lot longer than the Baptists. They've only been here 150 years. But that bell ringer has been ringing that bell for 40 of those years. So that's quite a large percentage. And he's actually the one that helped me perfect my technique. So it was a Baptist that taught me how to ring the bell properly because I did not get proper training. I was just told, there's the rope, pull it, give it a good tug, So I didn't actually learn proper technique. I had to learn by myself by watching YouTube videos. And I was still stuck on this one part. And the local Baptist bell ringer actually showed me the mechanism of the bell and taught me how it worked, so that I could ring it properly. And I finally nailed that technique, and that was thanks to the Baptist next door. So again, something to be said for Christian unity. And if you are visiting Nova Scotia at all, I think it's this or next year is the Baptist Church 150th anniversary, and that church is getting completely restored on the outside right now. So definitely worth checking out if you come to visit. That same Baptist bell ringer during the lockdown period that we all experienced a few years ago, he actually rang the bell every Sunday, even though they were not allowed to host services for all of that time. And for the time that church was closed, he went in, rang the bell for every Sunday Mass or Sunday service that wasn't had. He still went in and rang the bell because he wanted to provide hope for the local community, that the church bells remained, that faith remained, and that regardless of whether or not something was happening in the building, the bells of that building would ring every Sunday still. And he's got advanced Parkinson's, and he still rings that bell every single Sunday. And as even some people during their funerals have requested that he ring the bell, and he's happy and quite emotional to provide that service for them, as all bell ringers are. We take our role very, very seriously, and we're honored every time we can ring that bell because we understand how sacred it is. The folklore surrounding church bells is as rich as it is fascinating. In some traditions, it's believed that the bell can predict the future and bring good luck. In others, bells are thought to have a healing property. One well-known legend tells of a bell in Italy that rang on its own whenever a miracle was about to occur. As a matter of fact, bells ringing on their own happens a lot. There are many stories throughout history of that phenomenon, which are worth checking out for sure. These stories, while rooted in folklore, speak to the deep reverence and awe that people have for the power of bells. They remind us that the sound of a bell is more than just a noise. It's a symbol of faith, hope, and divine presence. As we reflect on the significance of church bells, it's important to remember their role in our own spiritual lives. The sound of the bell is a call to prayer, a reminder of God's presence, an invitation to deepen our faith, and also telling us to hurry to grab our seat in the pew as Mass is about to begin. Whether in the towering bell towers of our grand cathedrals or the small hen bells used during Mass, the bell continues to be a powerful symbol of our Catholic faith. I know that I pray that the sound of the bell carries God's message of love and hope to all who hear it, and that it brings them closer to Him. Thank you for joining me today on this journey through the history, significance, and folklore of church bells and Catholicism. I hope this episode has deepened your understanding and appreciation of this beautiful aspect of our faith. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the Faith Focus Network and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Also, please leave a comment, especially with your suggestions for other topics or questions you'd like me to cover. Until next time, may the sound of the bell bring you peace, hope, and a renewed sense of faith.